Kayla Rin stepped onto the polished metal floor of the Ecliptic Vanguard Academy, her boots clicking softly as she moved forward. The air around her hummed with energy, a mix of advanced technology and raw power, and the walls glowed faintly with holographic symbols that shifted like living stars. The academy was enormous, stretching far beyond what any human city could contain, with towers and bridges reaching into the sky and docking bays full of ships from countless worlds. Every species imaginable had gathered here to train, to prove themselves as the best warriors in the galaxy. Kyla had been through rigorous preparations to reach this point, yet as she looked around at the vastness of the academy, she could not suppress a small shiver of awe. Cadets from across the stars moved past her. Their appearances varied beyond imagination. Some had 4 arms, others scales covering their skin, while a few shimmered with bioluminescence that pulsed in rhythm with their heartbeat. They glanced at Kayla with curiosity, and some with subtle disdain. A human among so many extraordinary beings was unusual, almost laughable. Kayla ignored them, focusing on her own presence. She had learned long ago that underestimation was a weapon in itself. The main hall of the academy was vast, circular, with a platform in the center where the instructors often observed new arrivals. Among them was Thrin, a towering figure with multiple arms and a crystalline exoskeleton that reflected the ambient light in sharp angles. His eyes, deep and unyielding, swept over the cadets assembling in the hall. When they reached Kayla, he paused. There was something different about her, a subtle energy that radiated outward in waves. He stepped closer and asked in a deep, commanding voice, "Who is this human?" The question seemed simple, but it carried weight. Humans were known in legends to be resilient, cunning, and unpredictable. Most species assumed them weak and insignificant, a species that had barely survived their own planet's chaos. Yet here was one standing alone among the galaxy's finest. Kayla did not answer immediately. Instead, she reached behind her back and pulled out a blade, its metal slender and curved, with runes etched along its surface. The etchings glowed faintly, showing scenes of distant planets, epic battles, and the rise and fall of civilizations. Whispers spread among the cadets. None had seen a weapon like this. It was not merely a sword, it was a record, a living archive of human survival and warfare. Thrin's eyes narrowed. He had studied weapons for centuries and thought he had seen everything, yet this blade spoke of history, of victories and tragedies long forgotten by most species. "Where did this come from?" he asked, but Kayla merely held it steady in her hands, letting the glow of the etched battles speak for her. There was no arrogance in her posture, no desire to impress, yet the sword itself was an announcement. This human was not to be underestimated. The other cadets murmured among themselves. Some stepped back instinctively, while others leaned forward, trying to catch a better view of the etched images. Kayla's blade moved slightly, and the holographic depictions shifted to show humans fighting against overwhelming odds. Planets destroyed and reclaimed, fleets of ships defeated against impossible enemies. Each image carried a pulse of energy, a reminder that humanity had survived when no one expected it. Kayla's eyes met Thrin's, calm, unwavering, and steady. He studied her for a long moment, realizing that her presence alone challenged every preconception the galaxy held about humans. Finally, he gestured with a sweep of his arm, signaling her to join the Academy's Advanced Combat Training Program. Usually reserved for the elite few, this program was where cadets honed their skills against opponents far beyond their level. "If you can survive there," he said, his voice carrying over the hall, "you will earn a place among the galaxy's greatest." Kayla nodded, silently acknowledging the challenge. The first weeks of training were grueling. Kayla moved with precision, her body reacting instinctively to the array of training exercises designed to push cadets to their limits. gravity fields that shifted unpredictably, energy shields that absorbed force and reflected it back, holographic enemies that learned from every attack. Kayla faced them all, and yet she adapted. Every move she made was calculated, every strike deliberate. The cadets around her, some twice her size and equipped with alien enhancements, struggled to keep pace, but Kayla did not falter. She observed, calculated, and executed, letting her actions speak where words were unnecessary. Her blade became an extension of herself, moving through the air with an elegance that seemed almost impossible. Each swing carved arcs of light, the etched history glowing brighter with every strike. The sword did not just cut, it communicated, resonating with the energy of the Academy's training fields and responding to Kayla's intent. Other cadets watched in awe as she performed maneuvers that defied conventional physics, dodging attacks that should have been unavoidable and countering with precision that left even the instructors impressed. Despite her success, Kayla remained quiet, speaking little. She did not boast, did not seek attention. Some cadets grew resentful, whispering about favoritism or luck, while others were inspired, secretly trying to mimic her movements. Kayla paid them no mind. She had learned long ago that focus and patience were stronger than arrogance or rage. One day, Thryn arranged a final test for her, a simulated battle against multiple adversaries at once. The arena was enormous, a vast field surrounded by walls of shimmering energy that projected enemies from across the galaxy. Feral predators with claws and fangs, armored soldiers with energy shields, and flying drones that fired precise energy bolts, all were programmed to adapt to Kayla's attacks. She entered the arena alone, her blade drawn, its glow illuminating her determined expression. The simulation began, and chaos erupted. The holographic enemies advanced from every direction, forcing Kayla to move with fluid precision. She dodged, weaved, and struck, her blade slicing through projections as if they were flesh and metal. Each swing told a story, the glow from the etched images flickering to display humans defending planets, standing against impossible odds, and achieving victory through cunning and courage. Even the cadets watching from the observation decks could feel the weight of history in every movement. Minutes passed like seconds. The enemies adapted, but Kayla adapted faster. She anticipated attacks, exploiting weaknesses with an almost prophetic accuracy. The arena pulsed with energy as her blade moved, each strike leaving a faint afterimage, a record of the battles humans had fought. When the last enemy fell, the arena was silent except for the soft hum of Kayla's blade. The cadets erupted in applause, some in disbelief, others in admiration. Thryn stood apart, his multi-limbed form still, studying her with a mixture of pride and astonishment. "She is not just a student," he murmured. "She is a storm the galaxy will remember." After the test, Kayla returned to her quarters. She sat quietly, cleaning her blade, the etched images of past battles still glowing faintly. She thought of Earth, her home planet, and of the countless humans who had struggled, fought, and survived against overwhelming odds. Each one of them lived on in the blade, a silent testament to human resilience. Kayla understood that she carried more than a weapon. She carried a legacy, and with it, the weight of expectation and hope. News of her performance spread quickly through the academy. Cadets who had doubted her skill now approached with cautious respect. Some sought advice, others sought friendship, and a few silently hoped to challenge her once more. Kayla greeted them all with quiet composure. She did not need to prove herself further. Her actions had already spoken louder than words could. Thryn, meanwhile, called her to his chambers. The walls were lined with ancient artifacts and displays of weapons from countless species. He examined her blade closely, running his fingers along the etched images. "These are human battles," he said softly. "Every war, every victory, Etched here? Kayla nodded, her eyes steady. She explained that the blade was forged with ancient energy crystals, each one recording human history, every survival, every struggle. The instructor's eyes widened. Humans had always been underestimated across the galaxy, yet here was proof of their endurance, their ingenuity, and their courage. Thryn declared that Kayla would lead the next mission for the Academy, a challenge that would test both humans and aliens alike against a growing threat in the galaxy. Cadets and instructors alike were stunned. Humans, long considered fragile and insignificant, had a representative who could inspire and lead. Kayla accepted the mission with quiet determination. She understood that the battles ahead would be unlike anything she had faced, but she was ready. She carried not just her own skill, but the legacy of an entire species on her blade. As the sun set over the vast city of the ecliptic vanguard, casting long shadows across the towers and docking bays, Kayla stood atop one of the observation platforms, her blade in hand. The wind from the upper decks tousled her hair, and she felt the energy of the Academy pulsing around her. She was ready for what lay ahead. She was not just a human among stars. She was a warrior, a keeper of history, and a force the galaxy would not soon forget. The next day, Kayla Ryn returned to the Academy's training grounds, her blade strapped securely to her back. The early light reflected off the polished surfaces of the vast training fields, casting long geometric shadows across the sprawling arena. The cadets were already assembling, their chatter and laughter echoing off the metal walls. Kayla moved through them without hesitation, her eyes scanning the group. Some cast sidelong glances, curiosity mixed with skepticism, but most gave her space. Her reputation had preceded her. Whispers of the human whose blade carried the history of her species had spread across the Academy like wildfire. Thryn watched from the observation deck, his multi-limbed form still, surveying the cadets and the new human with careful interest. Kayla had passed the initial test with more skill than he had anticipated. Now he would see if she could hold her place when pitted against experienced cadets, many of whom had trained for decades. The advanced program was not forgiving. It demanded strategy, strength, and adaptability in ways that could break the best warriors. Kayla stepped onto the training field, her boots making soft, rhythmic sounds against the metal floor. She flexed her fingers, feeling the hum of energy through her blade. Even in a controlled training environment, she could sense the energy patterns shifting around her. The Academy's technology interacted with her weapon in subtle ways, amplifying its resonance and allowing her to anticipate attacks before they occurred. Kayla had trained for years to synchronize with her sword in this manner, and it made her movements feel almost preternatural. The training session began with sparring matches. Kayla faced cadets from the galaxy's most dangerous worlds, a reptilian warrior with claws capable of slicing through reinforced metal, a four-armed hunter with reflexes so fast that even her enhanced perception barely kept up, and a crystalline entity whose skin reflected attacks and redirected energy. Each opponent was a challenge unlike anything Kayla had encountered outside of Earth's dense simulations. The first duel began with the reptilian warrior. He lunged with sharp-clawed hands, aiming for Kayla's torso. She sidestepped, spinning with grace, her blade tracing a glowing arc in the air. The etchings on her sword shifted, displaying a brief memory of a human ambush from centuries past, as if the blade itself was consulting its recorded history to guide her. Kayla struck back with precision, her blade grazing the warrior's forearm. He hissed in frustration, lunging again, but Kayla anticipated his strike. With a swift kick and a flick of her blade, she disarmed him, leaving him stunned and defenseless. Other cadets watched, whispering among themselves. The fact that a human had bested a seasoned alien warrior in seconds caused a stir. Some felt disbelief, others unease, and a few quietly admired her skill. Kayla did not react to their murmurs. Her focus remained absolute, her eyes always on the next opponent. Next came the four-armed hunter. The challenge was more complex. Multiple limbs allowed the cadet to attack from several directions at once. Kayla analyzed the movement, watching the cadence, the rhythm of the strikes, and the way the hunter shifted weight between attacks. Timing was everything. She moved like a shadow, deflecting blows with her blade, each swing precise and controlled. Her opponent's attacks grew faster, more unpredictable, yet Kayla adapted, using the hunter's own momentum to create openings. With a calculated spin and a downward strike, she tapped the hunter's weapon from his hands and gained control of the duel. Her movements were elegant, almost poetic, yet deadly in execution. Finally, she faced the crystalline entity. Its mirrored skin reflected attacks back toward her, forcing Kayla to think creatively. She could not rely on brute force or speed alone. She needed strategy. She studied the reflections, noting the angles, the patterns. Each swing of her blade interacted with the mirrored surface, bouncing light and energy in unpredictable ways. Kayla feigned attacks, drawing the entity into overextending, then struck at the moment of imbalance. The entity staggered, unable to counter the combination of precision and foresight she displayed. By the end of the sparring matches, Kayla had defeated every opponent. The cadets who watched were both amazed and unsettled. Whispers spread across the training grounds. "The human is unstoppable," one muttered. Another added, "Her sword, it is not just a weapon, it is history itself." Kayla stood alone, her breathing steady, her gaze calm. She did not celebrate. Her victories were simply another step toward the challenge she knew awaited her. Thryn descended from the observation deck, his multiple limbs folding behind him as he approached Kayla. "You are unlike any human I have ever seen," he said. "Your skill, your focus, it surpasses even the most advanced cadets of your species. Tell me, do you understand the responsibility you carry?" Kayla nodded, gripping the hilt of her blade. "I do," she said softly. "This is not just a weapon. It carries the memory of every human who fought before me. I am here to honor them and to prove that humanity can stand among the stars." Thryn studied her carefully, then nodded. "Very well. You will face the next trial tomorrow. It is not a sparring match, but a simulation of combat against multiple opponents simultaneously with no limitations. The arena will adapt to your moves, and failure will not be tolerated. You must survive, and you must lead. Are you ready?" Kayla's eyes glimmered with determination. "I am." The next morning, Kayla entered the arena. The doors closed behind her with a metallic clang, and the room transformed instantly. The walls shimmered, projecting distant planets, hostile environments, and advanced combatants from across the galaxy. Holographic weapons activated, energy pulses ignited, and drones filled the air with a low hum. The arena was alive, reactive, and unyielding. Kayla took a deep breath, grounding herself, feeling the hum of her blade resonate with the energy around her. The first wave of holographic enemies advanced. They came in patterns designed to overwhelm even the most skilled warriors. Kayla analyzed their formation, noting weak points and predicting movements. She moved with precision, her blade cutting arcs of light through the air, each swing eliminating threats with calculated efficiency. The etched images on her sword shifted, displaying ancient battles, providing insight and guidance as if the history of human conflict itself was giving her counsel. Cadets observing the simulation gasped as Kayla maneuvered flawlessly. She anticipated attacks before they happened, redirecting energy blasts, deflecting projectiles, and taking down enemies with a combination of skill, strategy, and instinct. Her blade glowed brighter with each strike, the etched battles on its surface flickering as if acknowledging the ongoing fight. Hours passed in the arena, though it felt like minutes. The simulations intensified, sending waves of enemies in unpredictable patterns. Kayla adapted, her focus never wavering. She moved with the rhythm of battle, each action precise, each decision calculated. Even the holograms, programmed to learn and adapt, could not match her. She was a force of nature, a living embodiment of the resilience and ingenuity of humanity. Finally, the last wave approached. It was the most formidable yet. Advanced combatants equipped with shields, weapons, and adaptive AI that mimicked the best cadets in the academy. The arena pulsed with energy, and the challenge was immense. Kayla tightened her grip on her blade, feeling the weight of responsibility pressing down on her. Failure was not an option. She could not simply survive. She had to excel. The battle began. Kayla moved like lightning, her blade a blur of light and precision. She deflected attacks, exploited weaknesses, and guided the flow of combat. Every movement told a story of human resilience, of battles won against impossible odds. The holographic enemies fell one by one, unable to overcome her combination of skill, strategy, and the legacy carried within her blade. As the final enemy fell, the arena fell silent. Kayla stood alone, her blade glowing softly, etched images of human battles flickering across its surface. She breathed steadily, sweat glistening on her brow, her eyes calm and unwavering. Outside the arena, cadets whispered in awe. Many were inspired, some in disbelief, and a few quietly feared the human who had just demonstrated unmatched skill and determination. Thryn entered the arena, his expression unreadable at first. Then a slow smile spread across his face. "You are more than I imagined," he said. "Not only have you survived, but you have led, adapted, and triumphed. You are not merely a human. You are a testament to the power of your species." Kayla nodded, sheathing her blade. "I am only one human among many," she said softly. "But if I can honor their struggle and inspire others, then I have done my part." News of Kayla's achievement spread quickly throughout the academy. Cadets who had once doubted her skill now approached with respect and curiosity. Instructors consulted with one another, analyzing her techniques and her blade, fascinated by the way she integrated the history and energy of her people into her combat. Kayla remained quiet, observing, learning, and preparing for the challenges to come. She understood that the galaxy was vast, and that the battles ahead would test her in ways no training simulation ever could. In the quiet moments after the simulation, Kayla sat in the observation deck, gazing out at the academy. Ships came and went, cadets trained, and the sun rose over distant planets, visible through the academy's observation windows. She felt the hum of her blade at her side, a constant reminder of the legacy she carried and the responsibility she bore. Humanity was often underestimated across the galaxy, yet here she stood, proving that courage, skill, and determination could overcome even the most insurmountable odds. Kayla knew that the true test had only just begun. The academy was a training ground, but beyond its walls, the galaxy was dangerous and unpredictable. She would face threats unlike any she had ever imagined. Yet she was ready. Her blade, etched with the memory of human triumphs, guided her. Her training, her focus, and her will made her a force to be reckoned with. And Kayla Ryn, human among stars, was prepared to show the galaxy the strength of her people. The day after her unparalleled performance in the arena, Kayla Ryn was summoned to the instructor's chambers. The chamber was a vast space filled with artifacts and relics from countless civilizations. Weapons lined the walls, some shimmering with energy, others engraved with symbols older than memory. Thryn's multiple limbs rested behind him as he examined Kayla's blade, running his crystalline fingers along the etched lines that glimmered faintly in the ambient light. "These are human battles," Thryn said, his voice low and thoughtful. "Every war, every fight, every victory, recorded here?" Kayla nodded, holding her blade carefully. Yes, this is more than a weapon. It is a record of our species' survival. Every human who fought every time we overcame impossible odds, it lives in this blade. She spoke calmly, her voice steady, though inside she felt a quiet weight. She carried not just a weapon, but the history of an entire people, the memory of generations who had refused to be broken. Thryn studied her carefully. In all his years, he had never encountered a human who carried such focus, such skill, and such respect for their own past. Humans had long been underestimated in galactic history, seen as fragile, short-lived, and weak. Yet here was Kayla, their legacy alive and moving, wielding a blade that recorded every triumph and every struggle. "You do not just fight," he said. "You embody the spirit of your species. You are a living testament." Kayla inclined her head, her eyes steady. She had long accepted that humans were often disregarded, but she had also learned to use that to her advantage. Others underestimated her, and yet she had never relied on luck. Her skill, her focus, and the history within her blade were proof that humans could achieve more than any other species expected. "I will not fail," she said simply. "If humanity has survived this long, it is because we never give up. I will carry that forward." Thryn regarded her silently for a long moment before speaking again. "There is a mission coming, one that will test humans and aliens alike. A threat is growing in the outer systems, a force that devours worlds and enslaves civilizations. They are called the Vorath. Their armada is vast, and their technology is advanced. You will lead a team to confront them, and your leadership will be crucial." Kayla listened carefully. The gravity of his words pressed on her, but she felt a spark of determination. She had been trained for this, and her blade would guide her. Over the following days, Kayla prepared for the mission. She trained relentlessly, honing her reflexes, mastering advanced combat techniques, and studying the intelligence reports on the Vorath Armada. She worked closely with other cadets, many of whom had initially doubted her abilities, but now sought guidance. Some were alien, some human, but all were skilled warriors. Kayla's calm confidence inspired them. Her presence alone seemed to focus their minds and sharpen their instincts. In the training room, Kayla demonstrated tactics and strategies that even veteran cadets found challenging. She analyzed complex combat scenarios, showing how to anticipate enemy movements and exploit weaknesses. Her blade glowed as she moved, the etched battles shimmering faintly with each strike, a reminder of human ingenuity and resilience. Cadets watched in awe, realizing that she was not only a skilled fighter, but also a natural leader, capable of inspiring others to reach heights they had not thought possible. One evening, Kayla walked alone through the observation decks. The sun was setting, casting long streaks of red and gold across the Academy's towers. Ships of various species moved in the distance, their lights reflecting on the polished metal surfaces. Kayla's mind wandered to Earth, to the humans who had survived countless hardships, who had faced disasters, wars, and betrayals, yet still endured. Each of them lived in her blade, and each of their struggles reminded her why she fought. She was not fighting for glory or recognition. She was fighting to honor the strength of her people. Her reflection was interrupted by Thryn's voice. "Kayla," he called, his tone neutral yet commanding. She turned to see him approaching, his limbs moving with fluid precision. "It is time to meet your team for the mission. They await your command." Kayla nodded, feeling the familiar surge of adrenaline that accompanied responsibility. She had faced simulations and training challenges, but leading a team into real danger would be a test unlike any other. The team assembled in the briefing room. There were 10 cadets, each chosen for their skill, courage, and experience. Among them were Nylar, a reptilian warrior with unmatched agility, Seelan, a telepath capable of sensing enemy intentions, and Corin, a cybernetic soldier whose enhancements made him a formidable combatant. They had heard of Kayla's accomplishments and the power of her blade, and their respect was evident, though some still harbored a quiet skepticism about following a human into real battle. Kayla stepped forward, her blade strapped to her back, its etchings glowing faintly in the low light. "We face a formidable enemy," she began, her voice calm but resolute. "The Vorath Armada has already conquered multiple systems. Their technology and numbers are overwhelming, but they underestimate one thing: the spirit of those who fight to survive. We will not let fear dictate our actions. We will act with precision, strategy, and unity. Every move we make will honor the civilizations we protect, and every strike will remind them that the galaxy cannot be conquered by terror." The team listened intently. Some of the cadets exchanged glances, impressed by her composure and clarity. Kayla continued, outlining tactics and assigning roles based on each member's strengths. She anticipated obstacles, planned contingencies, and ensured that communication and coordination would remain flawless during the mission. Her preparation impressed even the most experienced cadets. When the briefing concluded, Kayla led the team to the launch bay. The ships waited silently, sleek and powerful, ready to depart for the outer systems where the Vorath Armada was reported. Kayla's heart beat steadily. This was more than a test of skill. It was the first real challenge where failure could mean death. Yet she did not hesitate. She trusted her abilities, the strength of her team, and the knowledge encoded within her blade. As they departed, Kayla's mind replayed simulations and strategies. The Vorath were known for overwhelming their opponents with numbers and advanced weaponry. Many species had fallen to their fleets because they relied on force alone. Kayla knew that success required more than brute strength. It required insight, creativity, and adaptability. She briefed her team continuously during the journey, emphasizing the importance of observation and strategy. Days passed as they traveled through uncharted space. The Vorath fleet remained hidden, their movements unpredictable. Kayla maintained strict discipline within her team, running simulations aboard the ship and rehearsing strategies for every conceivable scenario. Despite the tension, she encouraged camaraderie, understanding that unity was as crucial as skill. Slowly, the team began to trust her completely, seeing the human not as fragile or weak, but as a leader whose calm focus could guide them through even the most dangerous situations. When they finally reached the outer systems, signs of the Vorath's destruction became evident. Planets were abandoned, ships wrecked, and entire civilizations reduced to rubble. The weight of their mission pressed heavily on Kayla's shoulders. She studied the enemy patterns, analyzing fleet movements, energy signatures, and environmental hazards. Every detail mattered, and her blade resonated with a subtle energy, as if drawing strength from the countless humans who had faced impossible odds before her. Kayla convened her team in the strategy room, laying out the plan. They would infiltrate the Vorath fleet, disable key vessels, and protect as many civilian systems as possible. The operation required precision, coordination, and courage. "We may face losses," Kayla said, "but we will fight with intelligence, with unity, and with the determination that has always defined humanity. We will show them that no force can conquer those who refuse to surrender." Her words carried weight, inspiring the team and solidifying their confidence in her leadership. The following hours were tense and meticulous. Kayla coordinated every move, monitoring fleet communications and energy readings. When the battle began, the Vorath responded with overwhelming force. Ships surged through space, weapons fired with precision, and alarms blared. Yet Kayla's team moved with seamless coordination, guided by her calm and decisive commands. Her blade, sheathed at her side, glimmered faintly as if in anticipation. When boarding actions became necessary, Kayla led the charge, her presence both inspiring and commanding. She moved with precision, her combat instincts honed from years of training and guided by the legacy within her blade. Every strike, every tactical decision, and every maneuver reflected the lessons of humanity's past and the skill of a warrior determined to protect the galaxy. By the end of the engagement, Kayla's team had successfully disrupted the Vorath fleet, rescuing colonies and defending critical systems. Her leadership had been decisive, and her calm focus had turned a potentially catastrophic encounter into a victory for the Alliance. The team regarded her with newfound respect and admiration, recognizing not just her skill, but the spirit that had guided them through the battle. As the ships regrouped and prepared to return to the Academy, Kayla stood on the observation deck, gazing at the stars. She felt the resonance of her blade, its etched battles glowing faintly in the dim light. Each image was a reminder of the struggles humanity had endured, the challenges they had overcome, and the strength they carried into every fight. Kayla understood that she was not just a warrior, she was a guardian, a symbol, and a living testament to the resilience of her people. Thryn approached silently, his presence calm and deliberate. "You have exceeded expectations," he said. "You have not only demonstrated skill but have inspired others to rise above fear and doubt. Humanity has a future in the stars because of warriors like you." Kayla nodded, a quiet determination in her eyes. She knew that greater challenges lay ahead, but for now, she allowed herself a moment of reflection. Understanding the gravity of what she had accomplished and the path that still awaited her, Kayla's mission had revealed her true potential. Not only had she proven the strength of a human in combat, but she had also demonstrated leadership, strategy, and the ability to inspire unity among a diverse group of warriors. The galaxy was vast, the dangers many, but Kayla Ryn stood ready, her blade glowing softly, carrying with it the legacy of every human who had fought, survived, and endured. She was prepared to face whatever came next, confident in her skill, her team, and the history that flowed through her weapon. The stars stretched endlessly before Kayla Ryn and her team as their fleet approached the Vorath-controlled systems. Ships of every shape and size moved in formation, their engines humming with controlled power. The outer planets bore signs of devastation, burned-out cities, collapsed infrastructure, and drifting ships that had been abandoned in panic. The Vorath were a force that the galaxy had feared for generations, and now Kayla was leading the first coordinated counterattack. Her team stood around her, tense but ready. Nylar's claws flexed instinctively, Seelan's eyes glowed faintly as she scanned the surrounding space, and Corrin's cybernetic systems hummed in anticipation. Each member trusted Kayla, understanding that her decisions and skill could mean the difference between life and death for countless species. Kayla felt the hum of her blade at her side, etched battles flickering faintly, as if reminding her of the countless humans who had endured the impossible before her. This was more than combat. It was the culmination of generations of survival, strategy, and courage. The Vorath armada appeared on the sensors, a vast swarm of sleek, dark ships bristling with weapons. They moved in perfect coordination, signaling intelligence far beyond simple artificial programming. Kayla's heart remained steady. Fear had no place here. Instead, she relied on preparation, instinct, and the strength of her team. She issued her orders calmly, each command precise. "Engage defensive formation Alpha. Nylar, lead the forward intercept. Selene, monitor for tactical anomalies. Koran, coordinate our shields and energy redirection. Everyone else, stay sharp and follow my lead." The battle erupted instantly. Energy blasts tore through the void, ships maneuvered with breathtaking speed, and the hum of engines filled the void. The Vorath struck with overwhelming force, their initial assault designed to test the humans and their allies. Cadets on the front lines hesitated under the sheer magnitude of the attack, but Kayla remained a beacon of focus and determination. She moved among them, both literally and figuratively, coordinating movements, calling out instructions, and striking decisively when boarding actions became necessary. Kayla's blade glimmered as she led the boarding parties. The etched images of human battles shimmered with each swing, almost as if drawing energy from the courage of those who had fought long ago. She moved through the corridors of the Vorath flagship with fluid precision, her team following her lead. Holographic projections and energy shields shifted with her strikes, but she adapted instantly. Each enemy she faced fell swiftly, defeated by a combination of skill, timing, and the unyielding determination that her blade embodied. Even the Vorath seemed to falter. Their confidence had been built on the assumption that humans were fragile, weak, and disorganized. Kayla shattered that notion with every maneuver, demonstrating strategy, leadership, and an instinct for combat that no machine could match. Her team began to mirror her energy and focus, moving in perfect synchronization. Together, they became a force the Vorath could not anticipate. As the battle intensified, Kayla noticed the flagship commander approaching. Towering and imposing, the Vorath leader wielded a weapon unlike any she had seen, its energy blade capable of cutting through reinforced hulls. Yet Kayla did not hesitate. She assessed the commander's movements, calculating the timing and angles needed to counter each strike. She moved with the precision of a seasoned warrior, her blade tracing arcs of light that intersected and redirected the commander's attacks. The duel was intense. Each strike resonated with energy, lighting the surrounding corridors with bursts of brilliance. Kayla's team maintained the perimeter, fending off reinforcements, but her focus was on the commander. She anticipated his attacks, countered with subtle feints, and created openings that only someone with her experience and the guidance of the blade's legacy could exploit. Every swing was informed by human history, the strategies, sacrifices, and ingenuity of those who had survived impossible odds. Finally, she saw the opening. The commander overextended, leaving a critical vulnerability. Kayla's blade moved instinctively, striking with calculated force. The energy of the commander's weapon clashed against her sword, illuminating the chamber in blinding light. With a decisive twist and thrust, Kayla disarmed the commander, leaving him defenseless. The Vorath's morale faltered immediately, their fleet losing coordination as their leader fell. Her team pressed forward, disabling key vessels and neutralizing strategic points within the armada. The battle raged across the void, but Kayla's leadership ensured that every move was deliberate, calculated, and precise. Civilian colonies were protected, supply lines secured, and the Vorath fleet fractured. By the end of the engagement, the Vorath had lost their commander and their organization, and the remaining forces retreated into the outer reaches of space. As the fleet regrouped, Kayla stood on the observation deck of the flagship, her blade sheathed at her side. The etched battles glimmered faintly, a silent reminder of humanity's resilience and courage. Around her, cadets and allies alike expressed awe and admiration. Nylar's claws flexed in approval, Seelan's eyes glowed with recognition, and Corin's systems hummed with calculated efficiency. They had witnessed leadership, courage, and skill that transcended species and expectation. Thrin's voice came through the comms, calm, but filled with pride. "You have done what many thought impossible. Your actions today will be remembered across the galaxy. Humanity has gained recognition not for brute strength, but for the ingenuity, courage, and spirit that you embody. You have proven that even a species underestimated for centuries can rise to lead and inspire." Kayla allowed herself a small moment of reflection. The battle had been won, but she knew the galaxy remained vast and filled with unknown dangers. Yet in that moment, she allowed herself to feel the weight of what had been achieved. Humanity had been given a place of respect, not because of technology alone, but because of perseverance, courage, and the ability to rise above impossible odds. Reports of the victory spread quickly. Across systems, tales of the human with the blade etched with the history of her people inspired hope. Other species began to see humans not as fragile, insignificant beings, but as resilient, strategic, and capable of leadership on a galactic scale. Kayla had become more than a warrior. She was a symbol of what could be achieved when determination and skill were combined with the strength of legacy. In the following days, Kayla and her team returned to the Ecliptic Vanguard Academy. The instructors and cadets alike gathered to hear reports of the battle. The room was filled with respect, admiration, and a renewed sense of possibility. Cadets who had once doubted her abilities now looked to her for guidance, eager to learn and emulate her strategies. Kayla addressed them all with humility. "This victory is not mine alone," she said. "Every member of the team contributed, and every species we protect relies on unity and courage. We have shown that no force, no matter how overwhelming, can stand against resolve, strategy, and the will to protect what is right." Thryn approached her once more, his expression solemn and proud. "Kayla, you have demonstrated what it means to be a leader, a warrior, and a symbol. The galaxy will remember today not just as a victory against the Vorath, but as the day humanity's spirit shone brightest among the stars. You carry the history of your people, but now you also carry the hope of countless others. Never underestimate the power of one who fights for more than themselves." Kayla nodded quietly, understanding the depth of his words. She felt the weight of responsibility, but also the pride of accomplishment. The Academy honored the team with commendations and awards, recognizing not only their bravery, but the leadership and ingenuity that had turned the tide of the battle. Kayla received special recognition, her blade now regarded as a living artifact of history, carrying both the memory of past human struggles and the victories of this campaign. In private moments, Kayla reflected on the journey that had brought her here. She had entered the academy as an unassuming human, underestimated by cadets and instructors alike. Through skill, perseverance, and the guidance of the history etched in her blade, she had proven herself in training, in strategy, and finally in the crucible of real battle. Humanity's place in the galaxy had been affirmed not through sheer force, but through courage, ingenuity, and resilience. The galaxy, vast and full of unknown threats, remained a place of challenge and danger. Kayla knew this, yet she also knew that she and her people had the capacity to meet any challenge, to inspire allies, and to defend those who could not defend themselves. Her blade, glowing softly with the etched battles of her people, served as both weapon and reminder. Humanity had survived countless wars, and now it could rise to shape the destiny of the stars. As she gazed out from the observation deck of the Academy, Kayla felt a quiet resolve. The stars stretched endlessly before her, a vast canvas of possibility. She had led, fought, and won. But the journey was far from over. Every system, every planet, and every civilization she encountered would test her, her team, and the legacy she carried. Yet Kayla was ready. She had the skill, the courage, and the wisdom passed down through generations. She had her blade, her team, and her resolve. And above all, Kayla Ryn understood this. The galaxy could never truly underestimate a human again. Not while she lived, not while she wielded her blade, and not while humanity refused to surrender. Every strike she made, every battle she fought, and every decision she took was a testament to the enduring spirit of her species. She had shown the galaxy that even the smallest, most underestimated species could rise to greatness when guided by courage, intelligence, and determination. Kayla stood quietly, watching the stars, feeling the resonance of her blade. and knowing that her journey had only just begun. The galaxy had seen humanity's strength, and now it would watch as they continued to rise, one battle at a time. Kayla, the human with the blade etched with galactic wars, was more than a fighter. She was a leader, a symbol, and a force that would shape the future of the stars.